Welcome to today's edition of The Eagle on the network service of the NTA. Do you wish to deal with corruption in the society? Then this is the right place to be, because on The Eagle, we expose economic and financial crimes and corruption anywhere and anytime. Now on this program, join us to discuss how we can fight this cankerworm to a standstill so that Nigeria can be a better place, a country we can all be proud of, a country where we know exactly where our money is going to. But how possible is it to know what's really happening to the money? I promise you an enlightening trip as we discuss following the money on this edition of The Eagle. My name is Martha Eche. Thanks for joining us.
Imagine a society where everything works. Durable road networks, stable electricity supply, portable water, well-equipped and functional healthcare facilities, quality education for all, affordable housing schemes, social security benefits, job creation, and a lot more that makes life comfortable to live. That is an ideal society. We can only achieve these if we all play our part. Say no to corruption to enjoy these benefits. Kill corruption to save Nigeria. This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
An American author and speaker, John Calvin Maxwell, once said, "A budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went." What that means is this: you plan and your money goes there. But what happens when you plan but you're not sure if the money is really going into the project or not? Answers right after this peep into what's been happening with the EFCC since last week. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC Ibadan Zonal Office has secured the conviction of 3 internet fraudsters, namely Babatunde Akintomiwa David, Olakunle Isaac Akinleye, and David Ayokumi Shoretire. They were found guilty of impersonation. Aisha Mohammed has details.
Akinleye and Shoretire were convicted by Justices Ibrahim Watilat and Mohammed Abubakar of the Federal High Court, Abeokuta, Ogun State. While Akinleye bagged 6 months jail term, Shoretire will spend 8 months in prison. David got his judgment from Justice Patricia Ajoku of the Federal High Court, Ibadan, who sentenced him to 14 months imprisonment for failure to comply with the lawful inquiry. Apart from the jail term, David was ordered to restitute 1,200 United States dollars to his victims, Shakira Reno, James Lewis, and Kiss Me, as well as forfeit his iPhone 8 Plus and Infinix 6 to the federal government of Nigeria. Shoretire is to refund 2,000 United States dollars to his victim and forfeit his 40-inch LG TV, a Nokia phone, and Spectranet modem to the federal government, while Akinleye will pay back 400 United States dollars to his victims and give up his iPhone X Max and an Intel phone to the government. Aisha Mohammed reporting for The Eagle.
In Sokoto State, Justice Bello Duwale of the Sokoto State High Court has convicted and sentenced one Ahmed Abdullahi to 1 year imprisonment for 190,000 naira fraud. The convict was prosecuted by the Sokoto Zonal Office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on 4 countermanded charges bordering on cheating, to which he pleaded guilty. Ngondu Ngweta tells us more.
The offence contravenes Section 310 of the Sokoto State Penal Code law and punishable under Section 311 of the same law. Ahmed Abdullahi is alleged to have, sometime in June 2019, falsely represented himself to Salim Yushau of Sokoto State University as a staff of the Universal Service Program Funds, USPF, a subsidiary of the Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, and in the process dishonestly obtained the sum of 85,000 naira from him. Ahmed claimed that the institution had been nominated by the Universal Service Program Funds (USPF) for the provision of ICT tools and services to enhance e-learning. Abdullahi's guilty plea prompted prosecution counsel Habila Jonathan to urge the court to convict and sentence him accordingly, while the defense counsel YY Gwazawa pleaded with the court to temper justice with mercy, especially as the convict had fully restituted his victim and shown remorse. Justice Duwale convicted and sentenced Ahmed to 1-year prison term on each of the 4 counts to run concurrently, or an option of paying 25,000 naira. Goundu Ngweta reporting for The Eagle.
Corruption is dishonesty and illegal behavior by people in positions of trust. A public office is a public trust. Do not abuse positions of trust for private gains. Stay away from corruption. Nigeria is a great nation, and it is our responsibility to make the country greater. If you notice any act of corruption, please report to the EFCC via info@efccnigeria.org or call 09 904 4751 or 09 904 4752. You can also call 09 904 4753. This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
Operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC Benin Zonal Office have arrested Kenneth Gift, a 22-year-old computer science undergraduate of the University of Port Harcourt, his girlfriend Dandy Spice, and his mother Dora Anina for suspected internet fraud activity in Agbo, Delta State. Aisha Mohammed gives us the details.
The arrest of the trio was sequel to a petition from the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI) and intelligence by operatives of the Commission. Items recovered from them at the point of arrest include a 5-bedroom duplex, Mercedes-Benz CA250, Mercedes-Benz C250, Mercedes-Benz GLK 350, laptop computers and mobile phones. The suspects have made useful statements and will be charged to court as soon as investigations are completed. Aisha Mohammed reporting for The Eagle.
Welcome back from the news update. Now to the crux of the matter. Follow the money. Every year, governments make budget for the country. These budgets are filled with projects to better the lives of citizens. We're talking about things like building of railroads, airports, schools, health facilities, and the like. Now, all these projects need a lot of money to come to reality. Following the money is all about keeping track of the money, how it's disbursed, what it's meant for, and how it's spent. Come with me to the chat room where Hamzat Lawal tells us more about following Nigeria's money. You're welcome to the interview segment of the program. Now, my name is Martha Eche, and sitting right here with me is Hamzat Lawal. He is the founder of Follow the Money, and he's also the chief executive Connected Development, that's CODE. Hamzat, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now we're talking about following the money. When you say curbing corruption by tracking the money, what really are you talking about?
We believe that the answers is in the money, and for you to get to those answers, you have to follow the money. And for us, follow the money is about trying to answer where funds are coming from, where they're going to, but most importantly, how judiciously these funds are being utilized, particularly at the grassroots, where you have limited access to information and even getting feedback from citizens who are meant to enjoy better service delivery. So for us, when we say follow the money, it's about getting answers to tax money, grants money, international aid money, budget money, and expenditure to ensure better service delivery.
Okay, now for years, monies have been appropriated for different projects. To what extent would you say the public office holders have complied with what's on paper and what's actually on the ground?
The government budget, and they release these resources, and engaging public officials, both appointed or elected officials. It's about ensuring that One, there is that information, because again, for you to ensure compliance, we always say lack of access to information is tantamount to corruption. Because if you don't have information on what government has approved or have released, then those public officials would not even comply. But when there's pressure from groups like Follow the Money and other civil society organizations, then we would see more compliance. But in terms of actual compliance vis-a-vis what's on paper and what's on ground, we've seen progress, but it's still not where we're not where we want it to be.
If I were to ask you now to give us a percentage, what would you say?
I would say 40 over 100.
Now, who would you blame for everything? The public office holders or the public themselves who are supposed to track this money and know exactly what's being done with their money?
But the thing is, when you don't even have information, how would you be able to follow the money? Because even us, we leverage on data. And speaking of which, let's even look at the Freedom of Information Act. So Nigeria has an access to information law that allows for proactive disclosure and allows citizens to invoke the FOI laws. But when you look at also compliance in the part of government, so I'm not going to blame government or blame the people, because again, for us to tackle corruption, we must all work together, both as government and the people. But from the part of government, when you look at budget, when you look at expenditure, when you look at releases, what is lacking is also public audit. If we're fighting corruption, we must also ensure that we audit this expenditure and also build that public confidence and ensure that the international community actually acknowledge our fight against corruption. So for me, it's about ensuring that both at the subnational level, which is local government and state government, they periodically publish their budget information. We run a federation. So we have local government, state government. Local and state government have their budgets running into billions. But today you can only easily access federal government budgets. But then when you talk about development, it's supposed to come from the local government and state government first, because they're closer to the grassroots. So for us as citizens to follow the money, we must ensure that we have access to this budget information, which is law, because once it's passed by parliament and signed by the chairman of the local government or the executive governor of the state, it is law, and it means that government must implement to the letter. So citizens must ensure that they amplify their voices and they add their voices to getting the local government authority and state authority to publish this information, and then in turn they will use this information to also follow the money, because when they get the paper, then they will look on the ground. Are they building schools? Are they providing access to water? Are they providing access to healthcare? So that we can reduce maternal mortality and reduce out-of-school children.
Okay, so you don't really blame any of the groups, they share the blame.
Oh yes, they share the blame equally. Mind you, we did not import our leaders. Our leaders is from the society. So again, we have elected a few people to manage our resources and take the helms of leadership. And those people have also appointed a few people. All of us cannot be in government, but we're all government.
How do you think citizens can track these monies? What are the processes? Where does it start from? Where does it follow? How does it go? And then where does it end?
Fantastic. Let's start with the budget. Ideally, the budget is supposed to be, and we call it the Bible or the Quran of service delivery, because if government wants to achieve something, it is through the budget that they achieve it. And in formulating this budget, ideally it's supposed to be participatory and inclusive. And our budget cycle is 365 days. And what I mean is, and looking at zero budget template. So what this means is, first, hosting town hall meeting and having engagement, having a dialogue between the people on the ground and asking them. Some people will call it needs assessment to inform budget delivery. So you go to the community as government and say, what are your needs? So in some communities they say, oh, we don't have adult education schools. Some would say we don't have access to water. Some would say that there's increase in maternal mortality or newborn child mortality. And then government would now sit down with this community. The dialogue is between government and the citizen on the ground. Now during this budget defense, ideally the National Assembly, State Assembly and local council are supposed to also invite citizens for this public hearing to come and document and witness what their representatives are saying and how they're engaging government MPs. After this budget defense, Mr. President signed the national budget, the executive governor signed the state budget, while the chairman of the local government will sign the local government budget. Now it's a law. So what happens now is to publish this information, and then government generates revenue to fund the actualization of this budget. Sometimes they can get loan, they can get grants, or collect credit from World Bank and other multilateral organizations. Now it's for citizens to put pressure on government and say, you've passed this budget, when are you going to implement this budget? Most time, the form of corruption we see is during implementation of this budget, where contractors use substandard products, where a lot of them, because community members don't have access to the bill of quantity, so they don't even know, what these contractors are meant to procure and what they're meant to supply and the materials they're meant to use to build. Another form of corruption is the procurement process itself, because that's where you have grand corruption. During when government publish tender and then people bid for this process, that value chain has a lot of corruption, because again, some government MD and in some states they don't make it an open process, and that's why we're part of the Open Government Partnership Coalition and ensuring that let's have this process open, let's have an open contracting process, and also publish these findings and these contracting documents publicly so that citizens can use this information to ensure better services. So those are the few, and also where government officials ask contractors or people implementing to give kickbacks or even cutting short the money of laborers, daily laborers at the crash report. See something, say something, take pictures, post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram, tag Follow the Money, tag EFCC, and then we can independently verify and investigate the case. But most importantly for citizens is for them to see that governance and fighting corruption is their own fight, not the fight of the government.
Okay, thank you very much, Hamzat Lawal. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Okay, that's it. Very soon we'll go back to the studio for more on the program. But again, we'll be speaking with Hamzat Lawal. He's the founder, Follow the Money, and Chief Executive, Connected Development Code for short. Thank you very much for staying with us on this segment of the program.
Corruption is a cankerworm, na cankerworm. I said na cankerworm, na cankerworm. Corruption don't finish our country. Nigeria women rise up and come together, oh yeah.
Every woman come out, but we fight corruption together, oh. Every woman fall out, but we kill corruption together, oh.
Them they thief our money, send them obodo yibo. Children they suffer every day, better school in no day. Nigeria women come, oh. Women from every sector, make we fight corruption. We won't kill our country. Them go collect money for light, chop the money, light we no see. Good road and good health and call, we no see. I said na cankerworm, oh, na cankerworm, oh.
Join the EFCC in its crusade to rid Nigeria of corruption. Naija, now we all know.
You're watching The Eagle, a production of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. And today our focus is following the money. From the chat with the founder of Follow the Money, Hamzat Lawal, it's clear that every Nigerian citizen should make it their duty to ask questions about what's happening with their money. But it seems like many Nigerians are tired of asking questions. So if I were to ask you now, why some people don't really care about what happens to their monies in the hands of their leaders, what would your response be?
The reason I'm not talking because my personal self. I'm not talking because if I talk, my talk will be as if it's a waste. If I talk and my talk is no response towards my talk, so I will not be interested. I will not have interest of talking because I will look at it as if it's a valueless talk.
Corruption in this country, what I believe is even if we complain, our complaints are not being dealt with or being met. So many people out there are complaining every day. Even on television this morning, I was hearing about one news. Still, no matter how we talk, the government don't care. From my own point of view.
Well, some people are ignorant, as I said. They're actually ignorant. Some people don't think there's corruption. Some people have gotten used to the system from years to years, And to a large extent, I believe that most people are ignorant.
It's because the voice are not there. We see our leader embezzling our money and nobody see it as anything because it's a mindset that whenever they also have the opportunity to get to the roles of leadership, they will also do the same thing.
If you are fed up with a thing that is done regularly, and you see when you complain about these people that embezzle our money, they will go after you. So the fear that I don't want to die will be there. After all, it's not only me. They should go with money, maybe sometimes my own time too, but which is not the usual thing.
One thing is that it's for us to know our rights first. When you know your rights, when somebody cheats you, you will now get up and shout or you make noise. At least like from my own local government now, if somebody cheat me, like my local government cheat me, like maybe a road to my place, if it's not done, and I heard in Abuja here that they have awarded that road, I have to talk about that road. Say, Mr. Either president or local government chairman, why this road has not been done?
Well, in this country, Nigeria, where we are, people don't complain for two reasons. One, even if they complain, will the leaders change? Secondly, when you complain, sometimes the next thing is you are arrested. So for your own safety and good, you remain calm.
Welcome back from the streets. Now you know why some people don't really care about what their leaders do with their money. But you know what? When you don't care at all, it's like giving perpetrators of economic and financial crimes a field day to claim what's yours and leave you to waste in the sun. If you want to avoid this troubling situation, all you can do is ensure that what government has planned for you gets into your hands. Ngondu Ngweta gives us some tips to follow.
Follow the money. Where a community follows how their government spends their money, they can easily detect corruption when it happens, reduce leakages of funds, and clamor for improved quality and quantity of services they get. In other words, demand accountability. End impunity. Nigeria has many laws against corruption. You can ensure that these laws come to play whenever there's a breach. For instance, how many government officials have been dismissed from office because they are corrupt? Government should be seen to have the political will to deal with corruption. If the society punishes corrupt practices, I can assure you that corruption will keep dwindling until it's as good as gone. Government should keep the public in the know of everything that has to do with budget. How can the masses follow the money if they don't know how much it is, where it's coming from, and what it's meant for? This is where transparency on the part of government officials come into play. Government should not only promote but also encourage transparency and access to information. If you see something, say something. Are you afraid that if you expose that government official embezzling money, you may be a target? Don't worry. The law can always protect you. The backing of the community is your shield. For the Nigerian government, anonymity is key. So why are you still holding back information when you can say something and stop that corrupt leader? The electorate must, as a matter of urgency, be vigilant in electing leaders to offices. Look at their backgrounds. What they have done and what they are doing will surely determine what they will do tomorrow. Elect leaders of integrity, and if they misbehave, you have every right and power to remove them from there. Why waste your vote? The judiciary is not left out here. Speeding up judgments and increasing courts can help in curbing corruption. Many people wonder why many corrupt cases take years to end. This gives corrupt officials enough time to tighten their loose ends. It also discourages the public from contributing in the fight. All stakeholders should focus on education right from the early days of citizens, whether formally or informally. Let our children know that corruption is bad. Let them know the consequences, and let them know the gains of leading a corrupt-free life. As this education is going on, parents and guardians can then instill the culture of integrity in them. As they grow up to be civil servants, political leaders, and private sector actors, they can live out this life that has always been with them. Now, you can see that you're part of the fight against economic and financial crimes from start to finish. Martha, I'm out.
Thank you, Ngondu, for those tips. Let me add here that it's your right to ask questions. Follow the money. Know exactly what's happening to it. Make sure what's on the paper is what's on the ground, and you'll be surprised how powerful you can be in the fight against economic and financial crimes and corruption in Nigeria. And that's it on this edition of the program, The Eagle. Keep a date with us, same time, same station next week, Monday, for another edition of the program. You can be a part of the program by sending your inquiries and suggestions to theeagle@efccnigeria.org. theeagle@efccnigeria.org. Follow us on all our social media platforms at official EFCC. You can send your petitions to info@efccnigeria.org or personally go to any of our offices. My name is Martha Eche. Do you know your government's plans for you and your community? Make sure your leaders use the money as they should. God bless Nigeria.